Welcome to For $1 Billion More podcast. I'm Ram. I've invested in 25 odd startups, raised money for a few, and scaled a bunch of them. In season 1 of this podcast, I interviewed a bunch of founders and investors in the startup ecosystem. In season 2, I'm sharing my own perspectives. Sometimes, founders build a business that may be fundamentally meaningful, strong, and profitable. Despite that, there may or may not be investor interest, be it an individual angel like me or a proper VC fund, in funding such a business. This is where you need to address the question, are you VC fundable? Let me explain. First of all, is your business model tech-driven? There's a reason both investors and founders both add the term tech to all the domains. You have ed tech and media tech, real estate tech, agri tech, blah, blah, blah. Almost all the VCs are aligned with one thing. Something truly disruptive can only come with heavy use of technology. If yours is a traditional business with no new technology being built in, then it is extremely difficult to get VC interest. I remember when, as part of Zeta Farms, we had just initiated some conversations with investors. Many of them said, hey, we like the business model. It's good that you're scaling, you're profitable, but you're extremely person-driven. Where is the tech? Our investment theses and LPs limit us to only invest in tech firms. Secondly, when you look at the capital you need to grow, how much of it is going to be OPEX versus CAPEX? Sometimes startup founders build a business that requires heavy capital expenditure to grow. There may be a strong innovation or some strong IP or technology at the core of what you have built, but the founder still needs to, let's say, build a factory or set up an indoor farming unit or buy land, and so on and so forth. These kind of heavy capex activities tend to give returns or a payback in, let's say, 10 years. VCs have a much, much shorter horizon. They want to invest in and then get out within, let's say, 4 to 7 years. They don't want the capital to be locked into such kind of investments. Such kind of capital expenses. They would rather look for businesses wherein the founders spend on OPEX, operational expense like marketing spend or software development, and seek disruptive growth immediately. These days, I do see some VC money going to R&D, especially in agri-tech. I see Omnivore, doing seed funding for a few startups wherein there is a heavy CapEx or R&D spend needed at the beginning, and it's not going to throw disruptive growth immediately. But, they do explore heavy growth or rapid growth at a much later stage. But these are more the exceptions than the rule, if you look at the overall VC investment space. Thirdly, just check how crowded is the market you're operating in. Now, this is usually a bit tricky. VCs are hesitant to invest in a completely new business model or technology, but they also don't want to come in when there are like 100 players out there. They look for a sweet spot in between. The basic business model is validated. There are a couple of guys beyond scale, or rather beyond MVP moving to scale. They now want to place a bet on a team that can execute well. I've seen, especially in agri-tech, many founders come and say, hey, I'm building this agri-input marketplace or agri-output marketplace. And I tell them that there's just too many people already doing this. Unless you have something fundamentally unique, no VC will want to look at this. You may want to look at, some other model. In general, when founders come and say, I will execute better than all the others, or I'm already executing better than others, that doesn't fly very well with investors. Lastly, are you addressing a large enough market, or do you have a very, very small niche focus? One of the founders I met spoke to me about a SaaS offering she was building. And in the discussion, it came out that the target customer base would max out at 1 lakh. That's it. 100,000 customers at the most. I was like, why do you want to chase such a small customer base? But she was quite obsessed with her idea. So I said, cool, wish you the best. Go ahead, chase your dream, but don't waste your time, chasing VC money for this. That's highly unlikely. Go ahead and look at other options. So if I want to quickly summarize what I've been speaking about, if you want to be funded by VCs, build a tech startup in a nascent space, but something that can easily become 1,000 crore plus kind of a business. In the next episode, we'll talk about multiple sources of funds, not just VC funds, for an early stage startup. Thank you. That brings us to the end of this episode. I'll be back soon. Founders, please share your questions so that I can address them in the upcoming episodes. And don't forget to follow me on this podcast or other social media mentioned in the comments. Thank you.